Imagine sitting down at your favorite steakhouse, cutting into a perfectly seared ribeye, its juices glistening under the light. It feels simple when the plate arrives in front of you, but the journey that steak has taken is anything but ordinary. Behind that mouth-watering bite is a massive and carefully orchestrated system, one that combines tradition, cutting-edge science, and logistics on a scale most of us can barely imagine. Meat production today isn't just about farming, it's about an entire industry working in harmony to ensure consistency, safety, and flavor. In this story, we're pulling back the curtain on what really happens inside modern meat production facilities, showing you how cattle make the incredible transformation from farm to fork, and why this process has become one of the most important food systems in America. Humans have been eating meat for millions of years. Early hunter-gatherers relied on their skill with spears and traps to bring down wild animals, and meat wasn't just food, it was survival. As societies evolved, so did our relationship with meat. During the medieval era, feasts often centered around roasted game or livestock, and meat quickly became a symbol of wealth, celebration, and abundance. The more meat you had at your table, the higher your social status was assumed to be. Then came the 19th century Industrial Revolution, which flipped the entire process on its head. With the invention of meat packing plants, refrigerated railcars, and eventually cold storage warehouses, meat could now be processed at scale and transported across vast distances. This wasn't just a minor improvement, it was revolutionary. Suddenly, fresh beef could be shipped hundreds of miles and still arrive in good condition, something that had been unthinkable in earlier centuries. As America moved into the 20th century, the industry became even more advanced. Automated production lines were introduced, food safety standards became stricter, and refrigeration technology improved dramatically. These changes meant meat was no longer a luxury for the few, it became a staple for millions of households. Families could walk into a local butcher or grocery store and confidently buy beef that was not only fresh but also inspected and certified safe. This shift represents one of the most dramatic evolutions in food history, from the days of hunters depending on chance, to modern facilities capable of processing thousands of cattle with astonishing efficiency. So, how exactly does it happen today? The journey begins long before a steak ever reaches your grill. Cattle arrive at large meat production facilities from farms and feedlots, and every animal is carefully inspected the moment it steps off the truck. This first step is critical because health and quality checks determine whether the livestock is fit to move forward in the process. Imagine the scale. In the largest plants in the United States, as many as 7,000 cattle can be processed in a single day. That's more than some small towns even have in population. Each animal must be handled with precision, and teams of workers alongside veterinarians ensure nothing is overlooked. Once the cattle are approved, the process of transformation begins. Inside the facility, every step is designed for efficiency while meeting strict safety guidelines. The carcasses are broken down into primal cuts, large sections like chuck, rib, and loin. From there, skilled butchers or automated cutting machines separate these into smaller retail cuts like ribeye steaks, ground beef, brisket, or sirloin. What's fascinating is the balance of human craftsmanship and automation. While machines can handle repetitive cutting with speed and accuracy, trained workers step in for the delicate tasks that require a sharp eye and experienced hand. This blend ensures both consistency and quality, something that consumers in the U.S. expect every time they buy beef. But the process isn't just about breaking down meat, it's also about preservation and safety. After cutting, the meat is rapidly chilled in massive cold storage rooms that often operate at near-freezing temperatures. This chilling not only keeps the beef fresh but also prevents harmful bacteria from multiplying. In fact, U.S. facilities operate under some of the strictest safety regulations in the world, with constant monitoring by the USDA. Inspectors check everything from equipment sanitation to the temperature of storage units, ensuring that every cut of meat leaving the facility is safe to eat. For consumers, this layer of protection is often invisible, but it's one of the most important reasons you can trust the steak on your plate. Think about logistics for a moment. Once the meat is cut, packaged, and labeled, it's loaded onto refrigerated trucks, sometimes called reefer trucks, that carry it across the country. A steak you buy in California may have come from a cow processed in Nebraska or Texas. Every link in this supply chain must work seamlessly, from the farmer who raised the cattle to the processors to the truck drivers and finally to the grocery store or restaurant. It's an enormous operation, yet it runs so smoothly that most of us never even think about it. What's also remarkable is how little goes to waste. Nearly every part of a cow has a purpose. Beyond the familiar steaks and burgers, hides are used for leather, bones can be processed for pet food or broth, and certain fats are turned into tallow, which can be used in everything from soap to biodiesel. Even organs, which might not be as popular in the US, are exported to other countries where they're considered delicacies. This efficiency means the meat industry is not just about feeding people. It's also about resourcefulness and sustainability, ensuring that as little as possible is discarded. Of course, no conversation about meat production would be complete without touching on the human side of the industry. These facilities employ thousands of workers who perform some of the most demanding jobs in food processing. It's not just about speed, it's about precision and endurance. Workers undergo extensive training to ensure they follow strict safety procedures, protecting both themselves and the final product. The reality is that the American meat industry is one of the largest employers in rural communities, providing stable jobs while supporting local economies. Now let's zoom out and think about the cultural side of meat in the US. Whether it's backyard barbecues, 4th of July cookouts, or Sunday roasts, beef holds a special place in American tradition. Burgers have become a cultural icon, and steak dinners are still associated with celebration, achievement, or just a well-earned treat after a long week. All of these moments are made possible by a production process that most of us never see. The next time you're grilling a burger, it's worth remembering the massive, coordinated system that made it possible. The story of modern meat production is one of evolution. From ancient hunters to medieval feasts, from the rail cars of the 19th century to today's high-tech factories, meat has always been more than just food, it's been a symbol of human progress. And while debates about sustainability, plant-based alternatives, and the future of food continue to grow, the truth is that meat production remains one of the most important and advanced systems in the global food industry. Without it, the way we eat and celebrate would look completely different. When you sit down at your dinner table, whether it's a juicy steak sizzling hot from the grill, a tender roast, or a perfectly seasoned burger, it's easy to forget just how much work goes on behind the scenes before that meat reaches your plate. America's meat industry is one of the most advanced in the world, combining traditional butchering skills with modern high-tech machinery to produce millions of pounds of meat every single day. But beyond the speed and efficiency, there's also a fascinating story of precision, safety, and even ethics. How do massive meat plants handle such huge volumes while making sure every cut is safe to eat, flavorful, and processed in a way that follows strict humane standards? Today we're taking you deep inside the world of large-scale meat production in the United States, where the balance between tradition and technology shapes everything from farm to fork. The process begins with one of the most critical and sensitive steps: stunning the animals. This step ensures that they are unconscious before slaughter, a practice that follows strict humane handling laws designed to minimize suffering. It's a difficult topic to discuss, but it's an essential part of making sure animals do not experience unnecessary pain. For U.S. consumers, this isn't just a moral issue, it's also about food safety and quality. A calm and controlled process produces better meat, and that's why federal regulations enforce high standards for how this stage is handled. Workers in these facilities are specially trained, and inspectors from the USDA are present in many plants to ensure guidelines are being followed to the letter. This combination of compassion and regulation sets the foundation for the entire process that follows. Once the animals are slaughtered, the real work of meat processing begins. In massive facilities that can handle hundreds of thousands of pounds of meat each day, the carcasses are carefully split into halves or quarters. This is where traditional butchering skills meet modern technology. Skilled butchers, some of whom have decades of experience, work side by side with advanced cutting machinery. Their job is to separate the meat into the familiar cuts you see at the grocery store: steaks, ribs, roasts, and more. In some plants, conveyor systems move sides of beef or pork past teams of workers, each specializing in a specific cut. The efficiency is astonishing. What used to take hours in small butcher shops now happens in a matter of minutes in industrial-scale facilities. Yet, despite the scale, quality remains the #1 priority, and each cut is inspected for precision and safety. After the initial butchering, the meat takes different paths depending on its intended use. Some cuts are packaged right away, vacuum sealed to lock in freshness and flavor. These packages are the ones you might pick up at your local supermarket, labeled with USDA inspection stamps that guarantee safety. Other portions head into further processing. Ground beef, for example, is created by combining different cuts, carefully controlled to achieve the right fat-to-lean ratio. Sausages are made by seasoning and blending meats before stuffing them into casings. Here, automation is heavily involved, with machines portioning out exact amounts to ensure consistency. But even with all this technology, human oversight is still key. Quality control officers check temperature, texture, and appearance, ensuring that nothing subpar ever leaves the facility. Cooking and cooling are also important steps in certain types of processed meat. For ready-to-eat items such as deli meats, hot dogs, or smoked sausages, the cooking process must be precise. Giant industrial ovens and smokers cook the meat to exact temperatures, killing any harmful bacteria while preserving taste and juiciness. Once cooked, the products are rapidly cooled to keep them safe for packaging. This cook and chill process is one of the most critical food safety stages in modern meat production, and it ensures that by the time the product reaches your hands, it's not just tasty but also safe to eat. The packaging stage is where the operation really shines in terms of scale. Automated packaging machines can seal hundreds of packages per minute. Vacuum sealing technology ensures a longer shelf life, while modified atmosphere packaging, where oxygen is replaced with gases like carbon dioxide or nitrogen, helps preserve freshness without the need for artificial preservatives. Each package is labeled with detailed information, including nutritional facts, expiration dates, and storage instructions, reflecting America's strict food labeling laws. For ground beef or sausages, you'll also see safe handling instructions printed on the label, reminding consumers of proper cooking temperatures. These small details are the final checkpoint in a long chain of safety and quality assurance. Once everything is packaged, the products move into refrigerated storage before being loaded onto trucks. The logistics behind distribution are massive, involving fleets of refrigerated vehicles that deliver fresh and frozen meat to supermarkets, restaurants, and wholesalers across the country. From a processing plant in the Midwest, meat might be shipped to grocery stores in New York, steakhouses in Texas, or burger chains in California within just a few days. Maintaining the cold chain, keeping meat at safe temperatures throughout transport, is absolutely vital, and companies invest heavily in refrigeration technology to ensure there are no breaks that could compromise safety. By the time you see that steak at your local store, it has been carefully tracked, monitored, and maintained under exact conditions the entire way. Of course, there's another side to meat production that's becoming increasingly important to U.S. consumers: sustainability. Large-scale meat production has been criticized for its environmental impact, including greenhouse gas emissions, deforestation for animal feed, and heavy water usage. American companies are now investing in more eco-friendly solutions to address these concerns. Many plants are adopting energy-efficient technologies, recycling water, and using byproducts in innovative ways, such as turning animal fat into biofuel. Some are even exploring carbon-neutral operations by offsetting emissions with renewable energy projects. Consumers are demanding more transparency, and producers are responding with efforts to reduce the industry's environmental footprint without compromising on supply. What's perhaps most fascinating is how all these moving parts, animal welfare, safety inspections, skilled butchers, advanced machinery, logistics, and sustainability, come together to create the food we enjoy every day. It's a process that's both deeply traditional and cutting-edge modern, rooted in centuries of butchering knowledge but transformed by the demands of a fast-paced, high-volume food system. For Americans, meat is more than just food. It's part of cultural traditions, family gatherings, and everyday meals. Whether it's a summer barbecue, a holiday roast, or a quick weeknight dinner, the story of how that meat made its way from farm to table adds a layer of appreciation for the complexity behind something we often take for granted. And while the industry faces challenges from environmental pressures to changing dietary trends, it continues to evolve. Plant-based alternatives and lab-grown meat are rising in popularity, but traditional meat production remains a cornerstone of the American food landscape. Companies are not only focusing on producing meat more sustainably but also communicating with consumers about where their food comes from, how it's processed, and why safety standards are so high in the U.S. This level of transparency is shaping the future of the industry, making it more aligned with consumer values while still delivering the taste and quality that people expect. So, the next time you enjoy a tender cut of steak or a perfectly grilled burger, remember the massive operation that made it possible. Behind that bite is a story of humane practices, advanced science, rigorous inspections, and an entire supply chain designed to keep your food safe and delicious. It's not just about meat, it's about an industry that feeds millions every day, constantly innovating to balance tradition, technology, ethics, and sustainability. If you found this journey inside America's meat production fascinating, be sure to stick with us for more behind-the-scenes looks at how everyday products are made. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories that reveal the hidden world of modern manufacturing.